Have you been in an accident, and if you're being honest with yourself, it's kind of your fault? If that's the case, do you still have a case? Well, it depends. Here's what the law in Utah says about situations where more than one person caused an accident. So in some states, if you are even 1% responsible for an accident, you are out of luck. You don't have a case, there's nothing you can do. In Utah, we use a system that we call modified comparative negligence. So that's a fancy legal term that means if the other person is more at fault than you still have a case. So if you are 50% responsible and the other person's 50% responsible, sorry, you're out of luck. There's nothing we can do for you. If you are 49% responsible, the other person's 51, all of a sudden you have a case. Another important thing to know is that your what we call damages that you can recover, that's like medical expenses and compensation for pain and suffering, gets reduced by the amount that you are responsible for the accident. So let's just say, for example, that your case is worth $100,000 and you're 10% responsible. Other driver, 90% responsible. In that case, you can't recover $100,000, you can only recover $90,000. So how do we decide who's responsible and how responsible they are? Well, if your case is to go all the way to trial, which we have another video about, a jury decides. They give each person a number of how responsible they are, and that's what we go by. If we're able to resolve your case before trial, then we just work this out with the insurance company. And we present the best case that we can to show that you are not the one responsible for this accident. And that's an important thing to keep in mind, okay? So don't just assume that you are more responsible for this accident than the other person. There are things that we can do to investigate, and sometimes it's hard to remember exactly what happened when you were in an accident. So we can track down video footage from nearby businesses, or dash cam footage, or we can track down witnesses that saw your accident. There's a lot of things that we can do to help us figure out if you were more responsible or if the other person was more responsible. So even if you think you caused this accident, it's at least worth a conversation with us to see if we agree and to see if there's anything we can do to move your case forward. Even if, like I said, if you're being honest with yourself, you played some role in causing this accident. So let me give you an example that we've seen a couple times. Someone's driving through an intersection, they have their right blinker on, thinking that they're going to turn right, change their mind at the last second and go straight through the intersection. Another driver's waiting to turn left. They see that person with their signal going right, assume that they're turning right, and they start their left-hand turn, and bam, collision right there in the middle of the intersection. Who's at fault? That's the kind of thing that we can help figure out. So in short, if your accident is one of those where it's not clear who caused it, it still makes sense to give us a call. We'll walk through the whole situation with you. It's free to talk with us. We'd love to sit down with you and see what we can do to help you. And we'll see you in the next video.